With every breath, a promise to rise. Together we chase the limitless skies. Galvanize the world, feel the mold of my life. Every healthy choice, it feels so right. Data in our hands, we hold the key. A future built on trust and integrity. Galvanize the world, feel the light. With every healthy choice, it feels so right. Data in our hands, we hold the key. A future built on trust and integrity.
Well, hello, Galvanators from around the world. Thanks for coming and tuning into our Galvanators Unite call this week. We've got a lot of great information, as we always do, to share with you this week. And as we know, every action that we do creates a reaction. And the things that we do is we make healthy choices in life, healthy choices in our health. They're going to have good consequences. And so that's what I love about the Galvanators out there, is we're out there trying to share how great decisions and great actions can be rewarded. And we do it here. And that's basically what our community is all about. How do we reward people for doing those things that are going to make their life better? And we have the opportunity to do it on so many fronts here, with the health and wellness side of things, and with just the empowerment side of things, of what we're doing with blockchain, with the technology that we have, with the information that we have as the world is changing. And hopefully you can see that every single day, hopefully, as you're noticing crypto, blockchain, being able to move to earn, all of these things are becoming more and more popular. And I'm sure you're seeing it just like I'm seeing it all over the place. And so as we close out this month, because that's what's happening this week, I can't believe that February is coming to an end this week. As we close out this month and get ready for our next month, which we know is going to even get bigger and more exciting for this community, as the actions that we do on a day-to-day basis are going to set things up for our future. And so as we focus on these things, not just today, but as we compound those efforts day after day and week after week, you're going to be able to look back and see that those things that you do really do have a residual effect. The aspects of making those wise decisions, taking those actions. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. And we're going to start off with, obviously, Dr. Sharp, and some of the actions that we can take that are going to make ourselves healthier, and why that is so important. As we all know, this affects everybody from cradle to grave. So, Dr. Sharp, I'm going to turn it over to you now. Thank you for joining us and being on here. And you always give us something inspirational. So I'm excited to hear what it's going to be today. Thank you.
Well, I hope so. Thank you, Byron. It is good to be with you today. And I'm going to share something that, honestly, it makes me a little bit uncomfortable to share, and it shouldn't. And that's the part that's scary. And I'm going to talk a little bit, and I'll share a little bit about why that is. But I want to talk about nutrition. The reason why I say that's scary is if you have friends or family, or if you yourself are a health professional and went to a traditional medical school, at least in the United States, we received little to no education on nutrition. So the information that I have is obviously based on a lot of general biology and medical science training, but I'm going to talk a little bit about why this is hard to understand and why it's a little bit controversial in many ways. I think each of you, we all have friends and family that choose a different diet, and they may be really passionate about that diet. And it's good. Anybody that's making efforts to try to eat healthy, I think, is a good thing. But there's a lot of confusion around it. So I hope that this will be helpful. And the sad reality, part of the challenge that we are dealing with just as a society, is that I think this has not been given the, I guess we haven't looked at this objectively and given it the importance that really it should over the last, at least in my lifetime. So jumping in, just starting to understand the problem. Why is it that we don't have really strong, clear evidence around exactly what people should eat? And I think there's a lot of different answers to this. Part of this is just with regards to cultural and dietary diversity. So obviously where you come from in the world dictates a lot about how you eat. In fact, I didn't recognize this until I grew up. My parents both grew up a few miles from where I grew up. And so they didn't venture very far from where they grew up. But then when I left and went to training in Indiana and lived in Puerto Rico for a couple of years, and then in Michigan, there weren't the same, even in the United States, not even leaving the country, there were different foods that people ate. And I was introduced to different foods. Part of that's good. And part of that is just part of understanding the problem is what some people love and eat with regularity does not cross some of the cultural and other backgrounds. Number two is economic disparities. Now, I hope none of you have been as poor as my wife and I have been in the past, where we were newlyweds and barely scrapping by. In fact, my wife she shares a story when she was working and we were both going to college. She would get the soup of the day at the hospital where she was working. And then if she was still hungry, she'd just grab extra crackers, those Zesta crackers that were free in the cafeteria. So I'll share a little bit about, economic disparities, but it turns out that there's about 35%, 3 billion people, it is estimated, don't have the money. They know what they should eat. They don't have money to buy those healthy foods. And so that's part of the problem, right? If we don't have sufficient funds, we just don't eat as healthy as we could. And sadly, in today's era, fast food is sometimes less expensive than far more nutritious meals. Third, I mentioned a little bit, some of these blend together, like the geographical and the cultural, but geographical and environmental factors. So depending on where you live, you may not have readily available fresh fruits and vegetables year round. I'm fortunate to live in California, and so we have we can produce a lot of fruits and vegetables most times of the year. But this is something that it just fits into the problem, right? Depending on where you are. The other, and this one maybe is obvious, but health and nutritional needs. So we all come from different genetic makeup. And so what we need, we're different sizes, we're different shapes. We have different things that we do for a living. Some of us are marathon runners and some of us are not. And so that all of those factors need to go into, what creates a healthy diet. So even if you had the same culture and had enough money and lived in the same geographical area, really your health needs may be different based on your own biology and your own behaviors. And the last, and maybe the most important, is misinformation and a lack of education. It seems, and many of us grew up understanding the food pyramid, and most people now believe that the food pyramid that we grew up learning about was just wrong and may have been even more nefarious than just wrong. There may have been some key companies and different groups that really benefited from what they shared with the food pyramid. And that's part of why it was emphasized. And so some of this is just misinformation and a lack of education. And so that's part of what today is intended to be, is not to tell you exactly what you must and must not eat. The idea here is that part of understanding, like, why is it there's not just clear recommendations? In fact, part of the reasons all these problems contribute to why you don't have just a general recommendation of this is what everybody should eat, because it's different for each individual and it's different what's accessible for different people around different places. So part of this is just, it's complex and it's a difficult problem. And there's been a lot of misinformation that's been put out there, even things that were well-intended that we may have learned in school when we were growing up. So what do we do about this? Well, I think from my perspective, I think we start with some general best practices that most people agree upon. And the first here is prioritize whole, minimally processed foods. If any of you follow me on social media, I've never been a farmer. My wife teases me because in another life, I would have liked to have been, had a large piece of property and consider myself a cowboy, though I don't know really how to ride a horse. I don't know how to grow any fruits and vegetables. So not who I am, but I really believe, and I think most people believe, that the closer you can get to foods that grow naturally, they have more nutrition and more nutritious value. Now, there's a lot of things in terms of how those foods were, the type of farming that grew those foods and the type of chemicals that they may or may not have used may also contribute to that. But the idea here is to limit processed foods is universally, in my understanding of that, accepted. And so the more whole the food is as it was created or as it was grown, the more nutritious it is, and the more health value that will contribute to you. Number 2, and I think this is hopefully an easy one, limit added sugars or refined carbohydrates. And so anything that has a lot of potential refined sugars and a lot of extra carbohydrates that frankly are not needed for who and what you are, is a general best practice. I think those things, because they taste good often, have crept into a lot of options, whether that be fast food or prepared foods that you may get at the grocery stores. It's important to look at what's been added in order to make it taste good. And so that's an important thing to try and avoid. The third here, and there's, I think, a lot of debate around what is considered a potential healthy fats. I think omega-3 fatty acids is something that's generally not too controversial. But the idea here is we all need fat. It's part of how we grow. It's part of who, it's part of the foods that we need in order to be healthy. But the types of fats, I think, that are included are important. So the types of oils that you may use, as well as trans fats, if you're familiar with that, trans fats have been linked to a lot of adverse health outcomes that you don't want to have. So this is something that is part of how we consider, is not just what foods we eat, but how they're prepared, and how we include healthy fats. As I said, omega-3 fatty acids are something that are linked to a lot of really good health outcomes with regard to decreased cardiovascular events, and increased mortality, which is we want to live as long and healthy as we can. Those are found in fatty fishes, like mackerel or salmon, or even sardines. I personally don't eat a lot of sardines, but they're found in there, as well as other nuts like chia seeds. So fourth kind of goes along with moderate protein intake, and the types of protein that people have. Obviously, if you work out and do a lot of strength training, or are an athlete of sorts, our muscles are made of protein. And so the type of protein that we eat matters, and we need to make sure that we have the appropriate protein intake regardless of our diet in order to build the muscle mass that we need to live the lives that we're seeking. And last, maybe the easiest to agree upon, maybe the most difficult to actually do, is to stay hydrated. Even hydration, we did a thing a little bit earlier. How much water should you drink? Well, depends on how hot it is, depends on how active you are, depends on how big or small that you are. But the reality is it takes effort for all of us to be able to take the appropriate amount of water into our bodies. And the intake is, water's in a lot of things that we eat. So it may not just be the glasses of water that you drink, but other things that have liquid in them that you may be consuming throughout the day. But staying hydrated is a key component, requires continued effort as we seek to live our best selves. I also want to highlight things here as far as best practices. Many have heard about cheat days, even for people that are very, very focused on having a healthy diet. They will have a cheat day, is what they're called, where they'll eat what they like. And so if you love your donuts, like Stacy reported here, that's okay. I'm not here to say that you can't eat donuts. But if we eat donuts for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day of the week, we're going to be in trouble. And we're not going to live the life that we want. And so, I think moderation and some of these general best practices are things that all can agree upon. I also see a future where Galvan can contribute to the knowledge base as we grow and have millions and millions of Galvanators, where we can start to show and give better evidence around what actual things we're eating that can contribute to our overall health. So with that, I mentioned this before, it's hard to even say how big the problem is. So this is part of the challenge with nutrition. How would we say how many people are eating a healthy diet? Well, we can't even agree upon what a healthy diet is. So how could we actually say what people are actually doing it? The other is we go by self-report. Obviously, many, in fact, there was an article that I found that said when they've surveyed people that 50% are trying to eat healthy. I don't know what that means. I think that's a good thing. If we try and each day are eating a little bit healthier, then that's good. But some of us may have a long way to go. But I mentioned this earlier. What we do know, 3 billion people can't even afford a healthy diet, and 35% of Americans eat fast food every day. That's a lot of people going to eat, as we mentioned, generally agreed upon foods that are not terribly healthy, processed foods that are cooked in with fats that are not healthy, and other things. So this is just important. And this bottom question is the question that each of us must answer. So what are you doing? What are you doing to make a conscious effort about what you are putting into your body? There is, if exercise is the best medicine, nutrition is certainly the most essential component of us. It's what we're made of. Literally, we are what we eat. We know that. So part of this is, again, another part of what G Plus is trying to do. Now, we haven't yet been able to link what you're eating into the G Plus app and reward it on the blockchain. That's that's a future date, TBD. But we can do is we can set goals. So if you haven't set a goal yet, I have a couple of screenshots here from my G Plus app. If you go down and see in the bottom right corner, as you open your app, you can pull up and it has a spot for people to be able to set goals. And so as you pull that screen up, as you see here, then you just hit customize a template goal, custom template goal, lets you choose the category, and then you go in and set your own goal. So hopefully this is a little bit of information to help you understand why is it that we don't have general specific recommendations for all people that we trust. It's complicated. And number two, that you know a little bit more today about things that you can do to be healthy and to have a nutritious diet. So make sure that you set a goal in your G Plus app and do something today to help yourself be a little bit healthier. In case any of you do not yet have the G Plus app, go get it. Whether you're an Apple or a Google person, doesn't matter. Here's the QR code. It can take you there, help reward you for exercising, help give you specific AI tools to be able to manage your mental health and set goals so that you can have a more nutritious diet. So that's it. Nutrition 101 here today. We'll have more later and have some friends of ours that I think I hope to involve in the future. And maybe I was thinking we need to invite some of our friends from Grow over to talk about how they are contributing to helping us to know what's in our food and eat healthily, eat in a more healthy manner. So with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Robert, the beloved, from our product team, and we'll see you next week.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Adam. Those are great tips. I hope I become a better, well-performance machine. Nutrition, vital. In fact, one of my favorite quotes is, when performance is measured, performance improves. So thankfully, G Plus will allow us to measure our performance. And hopefully next week, I will actually take us through doing a goal. But for today, what I'd like to show is a screen, if we can pop it up, is the ability to connect to G Plus. Probably one of the first things you think about when you get the G Plus app is, I've got this wearable. How can I connect it to G Plus, or will it connect to G Plus? So in the world of modern economics, there are multitudes of wearables out there. And how do we know if the one that we've got or the one that we want, or which one do we want to buy that will connect to G Plus? Well, you can see here at the top, we go wearable to health kit to Galvan. So we've got all of these wearables that people have. And the people that build these wearables, they will either connect them to their own little reporting tool, or some of the more elaborate ones or some of the more advanced ones will then connect it to a health kit. Galvan supports 4 different health kits presently. We support the Apple Health Kit, we support the Google Health Kit, we support Garmin, as well as the Fitbit Health Kits. So the key to knowing if your wearable will transfer over the data into G Plus would be to understand what their connection is to these health kits. So for instance, if I've got a ring, I should be able to see, even before I buy the ring, will this ring transfer its data into the Apple Health Kit, for instance, or into Google? And if it will, we actually then, through some, we call it an API, we connect to the Apple Health Kit. And when you sync within the app, then we draw the information or the data down from the Apple Health Kit into G Plus. And so that's where you'll start seeing that your heart minutes calculate, your steps, etc., even your sleep depending on what your wearable will do. So for instance, the other day, Apple and Beats came up with a new earbud, right? An AirPod that will measure your heart rate. And so the first questions I started seeing on our forum was, will this take the heart rate into G plus? And honestly, it goes right back to, well, if it's an Apple product, does it go into the Apple Health Kit? And if it goes into the Apple Health Kit, then the data is available for us and we will take it and plug it into G plus. So again, hopefully this is a good overview for you to understand what type of wearables can I use. If your wearable doesn't, for instance, measure your sleep, that will not get into one of these health kits and we will not be able to measure your sleep over here. But if it does, then we've got that data available. My very first wearable was a Fitbit wearable, and all it did was track steps. Didn't track elevation, didn't track even stairs. It just tracked steps. So the only thing I got in here was the steps. Now, we do have the mental health side where you can get your mood, stress, and energy, and that's wearable independent. So you can do that regardless. But when you get into the body functions and the attributes that we're looking for there, then we need those pieces of data from these health kits. We also have on our website, so if you go to galvan.health, you can go into our support section. For instance, I pulled this up and you can see we've got a little FAQ on what type of devices, and it kind of explains what I've just gone over for you now. And then you can see on the right, for instance, how do I know if my Fitbit, my fitness watch works with the Google Fit health kit, etc. And so there's a number. Casey and team have put together a number of FAQs that also will support you for some more information to educate you on your connection of your wearable to your Galvan Plus. We hope that you will continue to take the opportunity to connect and measure and continue to improve your health each day and gain those healthy actions that, from our perspective, will reward you not only financially, but for better health. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Casey. Is Casey Smile there?
Hi.
Awesome.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. So the first thing I want to go over is this is your last week that we have the entries open for the testimonials. So scan this QR code and submit your Galvan experience. Tell us about it. And you're automatically entered into winning in a drawing to win 1,000 eyes. We'll be announcing the winners on next week's call. So get your submissions in there so that we can enter you into the drawing. The next thing I want to go over is a bunch of you have probably heard about a recent hack with Bybit. So I just want to go over how you can prevent some of that, how you can keep your account secure. So we're going to talk about the security of your Galvan wallet today. Most importantly, keeping your passcode and your 12 words safe. So when you log into your account, if you have already set this up, it'll look a little bit different. But if you logged into your account, the first time you're going to set up your wallet, it's going to ask you to create a passcode. Number one, this should not match your account password. This should be something unique. This should not be the same as that. This should not be the same as your Netflix or your Amazon password. Make it something that you're not using anywhere. So I'm going to make a quick one here. After you do this, it's going to take you to the next screen. It's going to show you 12 words here. These are the 12 words that you are only going to be shown once, and we cannot recover these for you. We don't store these. Oh, no, thank you. We don't store these. If you email us and say, hey, I lost my 12 words, can you just send them over? We don't have them. This is how you can keep your account secure. Don't take a picture of them. Don't store these on your computer. Write them down on a piece of paper, store it in a safe location, have a backup of that in another secure location. Don't put it in like your notes app on your phone, not secure. Those can all be hacked. We've had some people that use a safe deposit box or fireproof safe, stuff like that. And then never share these with anyone. Galvan will never ask you for these 12 words. We will never email you and say, hey, there was a problem with your account. Give us your passcode and we'll update things for you. If you get anything like that, somebody is trying to scam you. If you are ever unsure if it looks like it came from Galvan and we're asking you for it, number one, confirm the email address it's coming from. Number two, remember, we will never ask you for it. If you ever have questions about this, you can always reach out to support. If you're logged into your Galvan app here, just click support. It'll take you to our support center. You can submit a request and send us an email right there. You can also email support@galvan.health, and that will get you straight over to us. But we will never ask for those 12 words. We will never ask for your passcode. Once your wallet is set up, it will look like this. So if you've already set your wallet up, it looks like that. And then anytime you're trying to transfer your tokens or bridge your rewards, activate NFTs, everything like that, you will do that with the use of your wallet passcode. So again, just keep those safe. If you have any questions on it, if you don't have access to your 12 words, if you've lost them, we can reset your wallet, but that means you're going to lose what's in it. So keep it in a secure spot because we don't want you to lose things and we don't want you to get hacked. So pro tips from Galvan. With that, I think I'm turning it back over to Byron.
Well, perfect. Not just pro tips from Galvan, pro tips from Casey. So thank you, Casey. That is important information. And that's one of the reasons you're on these calls every week. I'm just sitting back here. I'm learning stuff about the app, focusing more on what I need to be doing to be focusing on our nutrition. And these are just great things to go out there and make our lives better and to go and be able to look backwards and say, because hindsight's 2020. Look at these things that we're doing. And when you go to the gym, you don't notice a result the first time you come back. It's when we repeatedly do these things and we repeatedly create these habits that they change us. And so one of the things that I wanted to do today is, as we're hearing these things happening where there's good and bad in everything, right? There's good foods we could eat. There's bad foods we could eat. There's good things we can do. There's bad things we can do as far as our health is concerned. And there are great things that we can do in our community that are going to help grow it. And part of it is having that vision and understanding that those steps and those things that we do, those habits that we create today are going to create a community where things are going to help everybody flourish. And that's what I love about this community is when we grow as a community, everybody wins. As we continue to go out there and grow, whether people see it or not. And I know as Galvanators, we see it, we get it before the rest of the world knows. And one of the things I was thinking about as I was getting in and talking to people more and more about blockchain and crypto and stuff is the value of where we put our time and energy. And if we're going to spend our time and energy doing something, what is it doing for us? Not just now, but what is it doing for us in the future? And I just wanted to, I went back to just compare a couple of things. I wanted to compare just even 10 years ago. Let's look at the last 10 years of what has happened as a community has gotten around something. And what I'm talking about is a community getting around Bitcoin and what's happened even the last 10 years, because that only happened because of a community. If only 10 people in the world today had all the Bitcoin, it wouldn't have any value. The reason that it has value is because of all the transactions and the community that believes in it. And so as I pull this up, I want you to take a look at this for a second, because there's things that we have control over and there's things that we don't have control over. And as we compare, I did a little comparison with Bitcoin versus the dollar compared to bread. So I'm just saying, if we look back in 2014, and I could have gone back further, but in 2014, I'm using this as the baseline, but one Bitcoin was about $320. And the price of bread was $1.47. And this is just on average. I got this data from AI, so hopefully it's correct, right? But if you look at this, one Bitcoin and $320 both at that time could buy how many? 218 loaves of bread. Okay. The value I'm looking at is bread. But let's go and see what happens in 2015. 2015, Bitcoin goes up to $430. The price of bread goes up a few cents to $1.52. And so now with a Bitcoin, you can buy 283 loaves of bread, but with the $320, you can buy less. You're only able to buy 211 loaves of bread with that same money. So you get the idea what's going on here. Sorry, this looks like the slide when I uploaded it, tweaked it a little bit, but you get the idea. The price of Bitcoin in 2016, 963, price of bread went up, but guess what? You're able to buy more loaves of bread with one Bitcoin. You're 613 loaves of bread. And look what happens with the $320. What you can buy is 204 loaves of bread. So that's going down. And so as you can see, as a community is growing here and things are going behind this, the value is growing. Okay. And we can be a part of something where the value is growing. But look in 2017, and now a Bitcoin is $14,000. Okay. The price of bread has gone up. The price of Bitcoin has gone up significantly. Now one Bitcoin will buy 8,742 loaves of bread. But your $320 will only buy 198. We're going the wrong direction that way, right? So go 2018, Bitcoin drops. In 2017, it starts to, nothing goes up forever. Everything goes up and down and up and down. But here's the thing that I love about it is even in 2018 and 2019, when it's dipping and coming back out of that dip, it still is beating inflation. It still is beating the US dollar from our base. And we get into 2020 where it breaks out again. And now in 2020, the average price was 28,949. Price of bread has gone up. But now with one Bitcoin, you're able to buy 16,267 loaves of bread. And with the 320 baseline that we started, it's 180. Okay. And we see what's going on here. 2021. I mean, look at that, 25,000 loaves of bread. Price went up still, but guess what? Look, your Bitcoin is beating that because the community around that is beating that. And so this is only going up because people are believing in it. And so now we go to 2023, price of Bitcoin, 43,196, 22,000 loaves of bread instead of, what was it? The 200 and whatever that we started at. And the 320 gets you less. It gets you less and less and less every single year. 2024, we just got done with. Bitcoin's price was almost 100 grand, 93,429. Price of bread went up, but it didn't matter because you can buy 47,000 plus loaves of bread with one Bitcoin now. When the 320 baseline that we started in 10 years ago, 2014, you're going to buy less. So let's look at this comparison really quick. And this is the takeaway. If we have an opportunity that the time and energy that we build and we put into something can build a community that creates the value for the entire community, or we're just trading time for money, or we're dealing with an old asset or an old model, guys, we're not using our time as wise as we could. Now, there's no guarantee that what's going to happen. But here's what I can guarantee, that if the community grows, the value of this community is going to grow. Okay. If more and more people value what we have, everything is going to grow. It's going to benefit the entire community. But look at this. In 2014, you could buy 218 loaves of bread with $320 or one Bitcoin. In 2024, it goes down from 218, you can only buy 162 loaves of bread with that same amount of money. But with Bitcoin, you can buy 47,425. So I love this because it's a great analogy. The time and energy that we're spending in building a community and building something that matters, we're not going to have the chance to just double it. I mean, this is almost what? It's almost 217 times the loaves of bread you can get in the last 10 years. Just in this example. And so why am I putting the time and energy into this and so many in the community? Because this is what we're talking about. We're talking about, we have the opportunity that the time and energy that we put into something is not just going to benefit one person, but when you can be a part of a community, when it's community focused, then what we're able to do is have the entire community win. And the more people that have eyes, the more people that are using G+, what's that going to do? He said there's no guarantee of what's going to happen. But what I can guarantee is just if we go and build the community and the community grows, the community is going to have more value. That's for sure if we do that and when we do that. And that's exactly what we're doing. So us plugging in every week, doing these healthy actions, creating these healthy habits, sharing and making things better for people, that only increases our community. And as our community grows, so does the value of our community. Guys, I love what we're doing. I love that we have a chance to really be an impact for those people that we talk to. We can make a difference in their lives with the things that we're doing. And as we go and get ready for what's going to happen this next month, we've been talking about it. We said Q1 of 2025, we're going to be launching some things. And we're going to be doing it. We're going to do what we said we would do. And in Q1, which still, January, February, March, in March, we're going to be launching, the Well Collective. We're going to be launching a marketplace that is going to allow people to expand this community and give more utility to everything that we're doing here, to be able to affect the nutritional part of what we're talking about, like, Adam talked about today. So I am super excited that we're in the place that we're in, that we have the opportunity to be those people that share it with the world because they don't know about it. But somebody has to take it to the world. And I feel so blessed that we are the ones that get to do that. So I am excited that as Galvanators, we can lock arms and change the world one person at a time, and that we have what we have in our hands right now. But guess what? It's only going to grow if we open our mouths. It's only going to grow if we share it and invite more people to be a part of our community and to join us in this cause of changing the world and bringing nutrition and health back to the world as we empower people through the power of AI and blockchain to do what we can do today that could have never been done in just a few short years ago. We can do today what couldn't have been done years ago, but now it can be. I mean, it's almost like Uber couldn't have existed 30 years ago. It couldn't have. The infrastructure, the technology, it couldn't have existed. It wouldn't have worked. But it works today because the technology is there. What we're doing has never been done, and it's going to work today because we have today what we've never had before. So let's not take that for granted. The timing that we have, we're not going to get back. Let's go out and make it happen, everybody. I'm Byron Belka on behalf of the whole team and everybody that you didn't see behind the scenes that are working hard here at Galvan. We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for all that you do. And as Galvanators uniting, let's go do this. I'm Byron Belka, and I'm a Galvanator. Take care, everybody. We'll see you.